In my last video, I went out to the coast for sunrise and took a series of images over half an hour, just capturing the sunrise as it happened. I went home, I stitched those photographs together into something of a collage, 11 vertical slices, just showing the sunrise as it happened. But it kind of got me thinking, what if I came out to a waterfall, took the same photograph with a series of different shutter speeds, put them side by side, and showed you the different effects that ND filters have on running water. Let's have a look, get down to the waterfall, and see what we can create today. So behind me is Water Arc Foss, and it is absolutely my favourite waterfall on the North Yorkshire moors. It's a double cascade. You can see we've got the two falls at the top, and then just down below behind me there's another couple of waterfalls. It's a really fun waterfall to take photographs of, and I've managed to get myself in a little spot a little bit further back, which allows us to get all of the waterfall in, all of the rocks, and some of the greenery surrounding it as well. So I guess it's time to get the camera on the tripod, settle a composition, and start taking a series of photographs showing fast to slow, side by side, in a nice sliced collage. I hope this works out okay. So I'm currently stood under a railway bridge, and if you're familiar with the North Yorkshire moors, there is a steam railway around here. Train's just gone overhead. That scared the living. Yeah. Let's get the tripod set up, start taking some photos. So for this one, even though we are so far back from the waterfall, I'm still using the wide angle lens, the omsystem 8-25. The reason being, I want to get all of the greenery in the rocks in and around the waterfall. I don't really want to punch in and zoom right up close. I think that will kind of lose some of it from where we are. So I'm trying to get everything in around it. We're also going to try and avoid the sky because it's so dark down here. The sky is obviously going to overexpose as soon as we start throwing anything sort of longer duration shutter speeds on there. There's also a little bit of a reflection of the sky in the water immediately in front of me. I want to kind of avoid that as well because that's going to start to look a mess. We could throw a polarizer on, and we are going to throw a polarizer on, but I don't think it will cut through all of the shine coming from the sky. Talking about the sky in the day, it's cloudy-ish. There are patches where there is bright sunshine and harsh highlights, but there are also times when the cloud covers the sun and softens things up a little bit, and that's the timing that we're going to be going for taking this photograph. I don't want the harsh highlights in there. I want to time these as the clouds are going in front of the sun. So let's get things fettled, let's get things set up and start taking the first photograph, which is going to just have the polarizing filter on the front. And it's going to be a nice quick shutter speed, which is going to give me a look that I don't like, but let's have a look. So if you've ever wondered what sort of effect a polarizing filter would have on a scene like this, let me quickly show you. So here's my polarizing filter, and if I put this in front of the lens, if I start rotating it like so, you can see just how much of the reflection have gone from the pool at the bottom. You can see just how much contrast it puts in the foliage to the right hand side as well. So this is without. Now if we start rotating it around, see just what an effect it has. It's always worth carrying one of these things when you come out to the woods, waterfalls, or anywhere where there's going to be anything wet. Alright, so let's start taking the first photograph here. So let's go over to the camera, I'll talk to you about the settings, and we'll take the first one. So this one, I want to somewhat freeze the motion of the water. So we've got a 20th of a second f4 and ISO 400. I've bumped the ISO up a little bit just to retain some sense of shutter speeds. It's a little bit dark and dingy down here, so you're never going to get a 100th, a 200th, anything like that, not on a scene like this. So a 20th is giving me a good shot. We'll go ahead, 2-second timer, and we'll take that first photograph. I've rotated the polarizer to take the shine off the water. I've focused on a big boulder just in front of the waterfall, so the depth of field will fall either side of that. What I will do, I will show you the first photograph so you've got an idea of the composition, and let's start slowing the shutter speed down. So my omsystem OM1 Mark II features live ND, so that's where we're going to start. But we don't want the 7 stops because we're going to go up incrementally. So we're going to turn live ND shooting on, and we're going to start off at 1 stop, and we're just going to go through them all the way down to 7, and then we may even throw a physical ND on the front of the lens and just see how long we can go with that. You can already see we're underexposed by a stop now, so if I do this, that's now changed the shutter speed down to a 20th of a second. So it's just a case of waiting for another cloud to pass in front of the waterfall. You can see just how overexposed some bits are. A little bit of time, and we'll take the next photograph. Okay, so second photograph in the bag, and the shutter speed ended up down at a 15th of a second when a cloud went in front of the sun and cast this area in shade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that photograph now. So we've taken 2 photographs, one at a 40th of a second and one down at a 15th of a second. There's not going to be too much of a difference in how the waterfall looks between these 2 photographs, but as we start moving up the strength of the ND filter and really start throwing the seconds on there, that is when this collage is going to really start to come alive. So it's time to start thinking about photograph number 3, and you guessed it, we're going to throw on the ND4, the 2-stop filter. And this is again, it's going to half the shutter speed, and we are down at a 1/6 of a second. Let's just see if this is the opportune moment. No, the sun's coming back. I can see this is going to be an issue with waiting for clouds to go in front of the sun. But the photographs that I've just been flicking through on the back of the screen, I quite like the slight differences in exposure. Oh, hang on. 1/6 of a second, cloud in front, let's go. Here's photograph number 3 taken. That was at a 1/6 of a second, f4 ISO 400 with the polarizing filter and the 2-stop ND filter. So there's 3 photographs taken. If I flick through, as I was saying, I really quite like just the subtle changes in exposure. When all this gets put together in the collage, it's going to give it an interesting kind of look. Instead of the flat same exposure across all of the images that I'm going to take, subtle differences are going to really make each little section stand out. Here's photograph number 3 and the collage so far. Alright, so we're on to photograph number 4. And what I've decided to do with the ISO is drop it back down to 200, just so we can start to increase the shutter speed a little bit. So we've got ND8 turned on, we're just waiting for another cloud to go in front of the sun, and hopefully we're going to be able to start getting down to maybe towards a 1/2 second kind of exposure with this. And quickly while the sun's going in, a 1/2 second f4 ISO 200 and ND8. I think we got that just in time before any sort of sun came through. Yeah, we did, there's nothing blinking there. So here's the next photograph. I'll show it to you. Okay, so now we're moving into the realms of halfway through this collage, and I think it's time to up the stakes in terms of the long exposureness of this picture. So we're going to start to go really extreme on the ND filters, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a 3-stop filter on the front of the lens. So we're going to have a physical ND filter and the live ND in combination, and let's really start ramping up the exposure time on this, just to start giving it that long exposure feel halfway through this collage. Let's get a filter on the front and start looking at some settings. So here we go, an actual ND filter on the front of this camera. And to answer a question that often pops up on my comment section, yes, you can use live ND in conjunction with actual ND filters. It's something that I do quite a lot. It's really simple to do. You just throw the ND filter on the front and turn live ND on. There is nothing more to it. Well, let's have a look, see what sort of shutter speeds we can get now with the physical ND filter and start cranking up the live ND as well. Okay, so now we have some big circles thrown on the front of this camera lens. I have the physical 3-stop ND filter. I've still got the polarizing filter on there, that's still in the same spot. And we're now down at ND16 on the live ND. So what's that? I can't do maths. Let me quickly do maths. ND16 is 4, so that's essentially 7 stops worth of filters. So we're down at 8 seconds now, so you can see adding the physical ND filter in combination with the live ND, we're really starting to get some shutter speed on the waterfall now. Now 8 seconds is a little bit towards the extreme edge of what I would do for a waterfall. Typically 5 seconds is where I will go, maybe 10 at a push, but 8 is certainly getting on for it. So let's take this next photograph. So this is going to be 8 seconds, ISO 200, f4, ND16, blah blah blah, you know the drill. Let's take this photograph and I will show you the ND filter and the live ND filter photograph. I don't know if you can hear this, but the really scary train's back. It's right above me. I don't like it. Alright, so I've taken another 2 photographs. We managed to get down to 15 seconds and 30 seconds respectively, just by upping the live ND. Just see what a useful tool this is. I don't have ND filters with me of the strengths that I'm now using in the combinations. So if you're out there and you really want to do some long exposure photography, turn that live ND on, throw a medium, throw a gentle ND filter on there, and just see what you can create. And the next one, we're going to go really deep in there. We're going to get 60 seconds, and it's probably going to look a bit of a mess. 60 seconds, in my opinion, is too long on a waterfall, but in the interest of science, let's go for it. I think the steam train's got it in for me. I can really smell the fumes from it down here. Ugh. Right, so we've got 60 seconds. So we have a 3-stop filter, a polarizing filter, ND 128, which is 7 stops, f4 ISO 200, and that is giving me a 60-second exposure on this waterfall. So let's go ahead and take this photograph. Now, like I've said previously, this is really, in my opinion, too long for a waterfall, but it's not really going to be a waterfall photograph in the sense of a singular photograph, is it? So we may actually get away with the 60 seconds. And I'm actually kind of wondering, if I'm doing this collage from left to right, if 60 seconds may even be worth it, because looking at the composition, I think this one may even just be the foliage, which will wiggle around and blow in the breeze, I'm sure, and it'll give that long exposure motion blare. Look, look. Yeah, come to think of it, this one might be a waste of time, but we'll add it into the collage anyway. So once that's taken, I will show you the 60-second photograph, and I will show you the finished collage. Alright, so there was 10 images in total in that collage. What I did was I took the liberty just to fill in some of the gaps. So I think I took an image at 2 seconds, and I think one was either 40 or 50 seconds. I can't quite remember, but 8 photographs. I just didn't think it would be enough of the slices. So I just went in, filled a couple of gaps in, and just got it up to 10 slices, which I hope that collage looked alright. It's a style of photography that I actually think is quite fun. You can go out there and you can take a few photographs just from the same spot and just see how things change over time, see how the light changes, see how the mood changes, and just see what different effects shutter speed and possibly even aperture to a point would have on a photograph. I hope you enjoyed that collage. Now, I'd just like to point out that between my last video and this one, my channel has actually reached 20,000 subscribers, which is an insane number. Because I remember when I first started doing this, I thought a couple of 100 subscribers was an achievement. And I remember back to when I reached 1,000 subscribers, and that blew my mind. So to reach 20,000, thank you. As a bloke that just goes around with a camera talking essentially bollocks to another camera just for something to do as a hobby, and the fact that so many of you have joined me on this little adventure over the last few years, it's mind-blowing. Thank you. Without you lot watching, subscribing, commenting and engaging, none of this really happens. It's a funny old thing, making YouTube videos, putting yourself out there. Some people enjoy the content, some people disagree and like to argue to the ends of the earth, but everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I like to take everybody's on board. But yeah, I just want to say, yeah, just a thank you just for joining in this little journey. I've never thought it would get this far. So, thank you. So now we have that little soppy emotional bit out of the way with, I guess it's time to end today's video, really. It's been a fun one. It's just a nice change just to sort of stand in front of a waterfall and, you know, just take pictures of it for a little bit, and hopefully I've created something that looks a little bit different and a little bit unique. There's one of you that watches my videos. His name's Waterfall Joe. My challenge to you, Mr. Joe, from across the pond, you go out and I want to see if you can create a similar looking collage. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be up for. So with that said, I guess it's time to just go home and put all of this together. So thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and the like and stuff, because it does stuff, lets people see my stuff. There is a new hype button. You can press that and we get hype points and leaderboards. I don't fully understand it. Just something I feel like I need to include in there. The whole subscribe jars, you can do that because plenty of you already have. Thank you again. Yeah, I'm gonna go home, put this all together. I guess until next time, I'm just gonna love you and leave you and just say peace and goodbye.